You know the scene? It's almost a cliche at this point.
Oh.
A company messes up, and I mean big time. A data breach, a product recall.
A train derailment, something serious.
Right. And the C-suite rolls out the response team. They release this statement that is just so perfectly polished.
Vetted by about a dozen lawyers, crammed with technical jargon and data.
Exactly. They bring out the charts. They explain that statistically, this was a 1 in a million thing, a Six Sigma event.
And that they followed every single regulatory protocol to the letter.
And they have this look that just says, see, the math says we're fine. And yet the public goes absolutely nuclear.
It's like pouring lighter fluid on a bonfire. The apology just makes it worse.
So why? Why does following the rules and explaining the science fail so miserably to stop a crisis?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's usually because the company is solving for a technical problem while the public is reacting to a moral one.
And when those two realities collide...
You get the subject of today's deep dive, the caged beast.
The caged beast. I have to say, when I saw that in the research stack, I thought we were pivoting to a monster movie review.
It sounds like it, yeah. But it's actually a metaphor for corporate survival.
Okay, so what is it?
It's a pretty visceral one. Imagine a powerful animal, like a tiger, locked behind these heavy iron bars.
Okay.
Strong, it's capable, but it's trapped. In this framework, the beast is the company, or sometimes even the regulator.
So what puts them in the cage?
When you lose the public's trust,
you
lose your social license to operate, you become, well, powerless. And the public just sees you with fear and suspicion.
So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how companies end up in that cage, and maybe more importantly, how they can unlock the door.
Exactly. And we're going to be pulling from some really heavy-hitting research. The TCC model, for one.
Which is trust, confidence, and cooperation. And also this fascinating concept called the social amplification of risk.
Which sounds incredibly academic, I know.
It does.
But stick with us, because it basically explains why a single internal email can destroy a billion-dollar company.
All right, so let's start with the lock on the cage. To get why the public turns on a company, we have to understand how we process risk.
And the research here points to two concepts we use all the time, but they're actually like opposite engines in our brain.
Trust and confidence.
Exactly. And this is the foundational mistake most risk managers make. They think they're synonyms. They are not.
Okay, let's unpack that. Start with confidence. What is that?
Confidence is calculative. It's based on competence, performance, a track record. It's an equation.
So if I say I have confidence my car will start this morning.
You're not making a moral judgment about the car's soul.
No, I'm looking at the data. It started yesterday. It's a Honda. The battery's new.
That's it. It's evidence-based. I believe this plane will fly because the pilot is certified and the aerodynamics are sound. That's confidence. Can you do the job?
Okay, so then what is trust? Or, more specifically, what the sources call social trust.
Social trust is totally different. It's relational. It's not about competence. It's about shared values.
About morality.
Yes. It's the judgment you make when you ask, does this company care about the same things I care about? Do they value my safety more than their quarterly profit?
So confidence is, are you capable? And trust is, are you good?
Precisely. And here is where it gets really interesting. This is the big aha moment for anyone in crisis management.
Go on.
The research shows that morality information dominates performance information.
It dominates it. You mean it actually overrides the data?
Completely.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you have high social trust in someone, if you really believe they share your values, you'll forgive a performance slip.
Oh, sure. You'll say they made a mistake, but they're good people. They'll fix it.
But if you don't trust their values,
And their performance doesn't matter.
in fact, it's worse. If I think you're greedy and secretive and you show me data proving how smart and capable you are, I don't feel safer.
No, you feel more threatened.
Right? I think, great, now they're just more efficient at ripping me off.
Wow. That is a huge insight. You literally cannot data your way out of a value conflict.
You cannot. And this explains that whole opening scenario perfectly. A company stands up and says, our data shows the toxicity levels are within acceptable limits.
They're using a confidence argument.
A competence argument to solve a trust problem. The public is asking, do you care if we die? And the company's answering, we calculated the probability to be 0.0005%.
They're bringing a spreadsheet to a knife fight.
Exactly. It's just totally tone deaf.
This leads us right into the battlefield where this plays out. The clash between technical justice and social justice.
This is where you see why engineers and the general public just seem to speak two completely different languages.
So technical justice, that's the world of the risk managers, the insurers.
Right. It's built on cold math, what they call expected value.
So that's just probability times magnitude?
Yep. If the probability of something bad happening is low enough, the risk is considered acceptable.
The only one in a million phones will catch fire, so this is an acceptable risk argument.
To a technical justice thinker, yes, it's rational. But the public operates on social justice.
And social justice doesn't care about the probability math.
Not at all. It cares about fairness, dread, and this is the big one, control.
The sources used a great comparison here, peanut butter versus nuclear power.
The classic example. Peanut butter is objectively dangerous. Aflatoxins, choking hazards, severe allergies. Statistically, it hurts a lot of people.
But the public outrage about peanut butter is basically zero.
Why?
Because I can choose whether or not to eat a PB&J.
Yeah.
I have control.
It's voluntary. Exactly. Now, look at a nuclear power plant or a cell tower next to your house.
Something that was imposed on me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Involuntary. Even if the statistical risk from that plant is 1,000 times lower than the peanut butter, the outrage is massive.
Because that lack of control creates what the sources call dread.
And when you combine dread with a lack of control, you get a social justice crisis. The public feels it's unfair, that they're bearing the risk while the company gets all the profit.
So when that company responds with, but the radiation levels are statistically negligible, they're completely missing the point.
Totally. The public isn't mad about the math. They're mad about the lack of consent.
And that disconnect is the fuel for the next concept we need to talk about, the social amplification of risk.
This is the mechanism. This is what takes a small incident and turns it into a global catastrophe.
One of our sources, Charles Casto, uses a really helpful analogy here, the stereo receiver.
It's a perfect visual. Think of the public information system, media, social media, everything, as a giant stereo.
Okay.
A risk signal goes in. A chemical spill, a whistleblower report. The system picks up that signal.
But it doesn't just play it back at the same volume.
No, it processes it. It either attenuates it, mutes it,
Or
or,
amplifies it.
and in a crisis, it almost always turns the volume up to 11. This creates what they call the ripple effect.
Okay, walk us through the ripples.
So you drop a boulder in a pond,
Hmm?
the splash is the event itself.
That's the primary ripple, the direct impact.
Right. The victim's the immediate damage. But it doesn't stop there.
Of course not.
The signal gets picked up by the amplification stations. The media, social media activists, they broadcast the signal, often stripping away all the nuance and just focusing on the dread.
And that creates the secondary and tertiary ripples.
Yep. And suddenly the entire industry is facing new regulations. The technology gets stigmatized. Investors flee.
I want to touch on the different amplification channels here because the sources say they act differently.
They really do. You've got traditional mass media and you have social media.
So mass media amplifies through, what, volume?
Volume and saturation. Think of the BP Deepwater Horizon spill. It was on every channel, 247.
It just saturates your consciousness.
And that triggers what psychologists call the availability heuristic. Because we see it everywhere, we assume the risk is massive and immediate, no matter what the data says.
Okay, so that's volume. What about social media?
Social media is different. It
Mhm.
amplifies through speed and the lack of gatekeepers.
Unfiltered emotion.
Immediate, unfiltered emotional reaction. And, importantly, it gives a megaphone to specific groups.
The sources break down the public into 4 groups here, which I found super practical.
It's critical triage for a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Group 1, the disengaged. They don't care. Ignore them.
Easy enough.
Then you have Group 4, the activists or fanatics.
The people who are going to hate you no matter what you do.
Correct. In the stereo analogy, their volume knob is already broken. They only transmit negative messages.
So trying to argue with them is a waste of time.
A huge mistake. You can't convert them. Don't feed the trolls.
So who do you focus on?
You focus on Group 2, the browsers, and Group 3, the locals or information seekers.
The locals are the people directly affected, right? The victims, the people living near the plant.
Yes. They want honest, unbiased information. And the browsers are the general public watching from the sidelines.
The watching world.
Exactly. And here's the strategy. You win the browsers by ignoring the fanatics and providing honest, transparent information to the locals.
Ah, so if the watching world sees you treating the victims with respect and openness,
The amplification dampens. They see you share their values.
that is a really actionable takeaway. But let's look at how companies actually behave because they don't usually do that.
No, they don't. Casto lays out this timeline, this progression from intent to resolution that shows how they dig their own graves.
The algorithm of failure. I like that.
Yeah.
So step one, immediate intent. Something goes wrong. What's the first instinct?
Protect the house.
Minimize liability.
Exactly. Self-interest. They rely on technical justice. How do we legally contain this?
There's a brutal case study in the reading on this. Fresenius, the dialysis company.
Oh, the Granuflow case. It's a perfect example. They had this product, Granuflow. They found a risk,
A serious risk.
a very serious risk. It could cause cardiac arrest. Patients could die.
So a moment for total transparency, you would think.
You would think. But their immediate intent was self-preservation. Fresenius also owned a huge network of their own dialysis clinics.
Right.
So they issued an internal memo only to their own clinics, warning them about the risk.
And just ignored the thousands of other independent clinics that bought their product.
Yes, they left the rest of the market in the dark. They thought they could manage the technical risk quietly. That was step one.
But then comes step two, social amplification.
An anonymous whistleblower leaked that memo to the FDA.
And boom.
The ripples turned into a tsunami. The FDA wasn't just mad about the medical risk, they were furious about the moral failure, the secrecy.
The lack of shared value.
That's it. And this leads to step three, moderation. The sheer force of the outrage forced the company to abandon their initial quiet fix.
They got pushed off their plan.
Completely. And finally, step four, nominal resolution. The FDA forced a class, I recall, the most serious kind. The final outcome was so much broader, more expensive, and more damaging than if they'd just been transparent from the start.
So the caged beast effect is basically society forcing the company to do what it should have done in the first place, but at a much, much higher cost.
That's it, exactly. We saw it with Deepwater Horizon 2. Transocean's first move was to try and use some old maritime law from 1851
It's an old law. To do what?
to limit their liability to the value of the remaining ship, about $27 million.
$27 million. For the biggest oil spill in U.S. history.
That was their technical justice move. Legally, they thought they had a case. But social justice looked at that and just said, are you kidding me?
The outrage must have been incredible.
It was. And the final outcome wasn't $27 million, it was billions.
That gap between their initial intent and the final resolution is just staggering.
And that gap is filled with social amplification. If you are tone deaf to the ripples will drown you.
Okay, let's pivot to the solution. For our listeners who might be risk managers or leaders, how do we unlock the door to the cage?
The sources give us some very specific keys, and they all map back to that TCC model we started with.
Okay, key number one.
Shared values. This is the trust piece. You have to demonstrate, not just say, but prove that you care about what the public cares about.
Safety over profit. People over process.
Yes. You have to build up that bank account of trust before you need it.
Because it's hard to make a deposit when the house is already on fire.
Nearly impossible. So that's a preventative measure. Key number two is information.
But not just any information, right?
No, specifically information that addresses the dread. Don't just dump data. Be transparent about the things people are actually afraid of.
So you illuminate the unknown.
Right. Openness reduces that feeling that something's being hidden, which lowers the outrage.
Makes sense. Key number three is performance.
You still have to actually fix the problem. We can't forget that. Shared values are great, but if the oil is still leaking, trust will erode.
You need competence and compassion.
You need both. And the fourth key I found really strategic. Borrow credibility.
What does that mean?
It's a great tactic for when you're already in the cage. When you have zero credibility, nobody believes anything you say.
So you stop talking.
You stop talking. And you bring in someone who does have credibility, an external expert, a university researcher, a trusted regulator, and you let them speak for you.
You let them check your homework in public.
Exactly. It signals we have nothing to hide. We're letting the experts verify our work.
There's one more layer to this advice that I found really insightful, the tri-mode model. It brings in the concept of familiarity.
Yes, this is crucial for knowing when to use which tool. The research suggests that confidence, that calculative belief in competence, relies really heavily on familiarity.
Meaning I have confidence in things I know and understand.
Right. I'm familiar with how my car works, but a crisis is, by definition, unfamiliar.
It's chaotic, it's new, it's scary.
And when familiarity drops, confidence drops with it. You can't rely on your track record because people are looking at this new, scary situation.
So when things are unfamiliar,
You must lean on social trust. When people don't understand the science or the situation, they fall back on a really simple heuristic. Do I trust these people?
In a crisis, you can't rely on data. You have to rely on values.
That is such a huge takeaway. If you're in uncharted waters, stop trying to prove you're smart and start proving you're good.
Don't be tone deaf. Don't wait for the ripples to turn into a tsunami. Anticipate the social justice outrage from minute one.
That's it in a nutshell.
You know, it's funny. We started with the idea of the caged beast as this bad thing, something to be avoided. But I want to leave you with a thought.
Sure.
Is social amplification is the force that takes a company's selfish initial plan like hiding that memo and forces them into a resolution that actually protects the public?
Uh-huh.
Is public outrage actually a necessary part of the regulatory ecosystem?
That is a provocative question.
Like maybe the beast should be in the cage until it learns to behave.
It really challenges the idea that crisis management is just about protecting the company. Maybe, from a societal view, it's the mechanism by which we force untrusted entities to do the right thing.
So the outrage isn't a bug in the system.
It's a feature. It's the check and balance against corporate self-interest.
Something to mull over the next time you see a CEO sweating on the news. Are we watching a disaster or are we watching the system work?
And ask yourself, is he arguing technical justice? We follow the rules while the world is demanding social justice? Once you spot that disconnect, you see it everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this deep dive into the caged beast. We hope you feel a little more unlocked. Thanks for listening.
Stay safe out there.